Good evening, every pony and every creature. Welcome to tonight's stream at DAG. As always, this is Drata Arcana, and we have a great stream for you guys tonight with some news at the end. So let's go ahead and skip over the news portion. I know, Twiley, do you think Gabby Gums would be angry at me? What's that? Gossip column? The gossip column? Well, we'll get to the gossip column later, Twiley. Not just yet. Anyways, guys, it's Drata. It's been... Woo! I've been having a blast all day. I will get into the news later on in the episode. There's going to be a lot of news that I think a lot of you will be interested for, and maybe not so interested. I don't know. I don't know what you're thinking. But anyways, guys, tonight's stream is about problem face-offs. So I didn't want to just explain problem face-offs, because that can get a little boring. To just explain problem face-offs, you know, just like talk about how to start problem face-offs or whatever. I mean, that can get really, you know, whatever. But what I'm also going to talk a little bit about is when to start a problem face-off. Because sometimes you want to go into a problem face-off, and other times maybe you don't. So we're gonna try to jump into this. I don't anticipate this stream taking too terribly long, so when we so I'll probably be ending a little earlier than normal, and I'll explain why that is when we get to the news section. So let's just go ahead and jump into the topic. So if you're wrong slide. If you're Twilight freaking out about problem face-offs, you know, you're like, problem face-off, like, how do I start that? You know, I'm confused on how it works, and grab a book, relax. Drata's here to help, hopefully. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about problem face-offs can be a little confusing. I know that I've been asked to do a stream on this for a while. I know a lot of you have been requesting me to explain problem face-offs and to kind of go a little bit more in depth into it. So finally, I'm getting on that. I'm finally, you know, gonna delve into this. So let's talk about a little bit about problems in general. We all got problems, but yeah, we're not going to go into that joke. That joke's been overused. When deciding between going into a problem face-off or choosing to when choosing to go into a problem face-off and then choosing to not go into a problem face-off is a matter of very specifically what kind of deck you're running. Sometimes it's more beneficial just to go into a single problem face-off than a DFO. And this is actually a rather common occurrence, and there could be multiple factors in this. One, the bonus could be a 2 bonus. Another is to stop a DFO from happening. Another is just to resolve that problem, to gain its ability or whatever. There are multiple reasons to do a problem face-off, whether that's getting rid of the problem, scoring points, or simply to prevent your opponent from doing what they want to do. But before we delve more into, you know, when to do a problem face-off, we should probably explain the different types of problem face-offs. Now, I have several slides prepared for this stream, but they serve dual purposes, so you will be seeing the slides probably more than once. And before everyone's like, but Drada, that's just lazy. Just know I did not have a lot of time to actually develop this stream this week, so I did the best I can, the best I could with the time I got. So don't be like, don't flip the table at me saying, you should have done more. Remember, I do these for fun, not so much to, for anything else. I just like making these videos. But let's talk a little bit about the different types of problem face-offs. Now, let's jump into single problem face-offs here for a moment. So in this scenario, you have what's called a single problem face-off. We'll get back to this particular scenario a little later on, and I'll explain then what's kind of going on in this. But, so, a single problem face-off in this scenario, both sides are currently confronting the problem. As you can see, one side has 6 power, the other side has 6 power. So they're both confronting. Now, for the sake of this purposes, you will always be you will always be on the right side for the purposes of this stream. So with the staff and thorax. In this scenario, it's your turn. You confront. When you confront this problem, and your opponent is confronting as well, and it's only at one problem. So in this scenario, you got 2 problems, and you are confronting your problem, and your opponent is also confronting that same problem, but no one is confronting, but you, since it's your turn and you're not confronting the other problem, but you're confronting one problem and your opponent's also confronting that problem at the same time, means that you will cause what's called a single problem face-off, which I'm not going to get into the priority orderings of these, but that is how you start a single problem face-off. Then you have your actual problem face-off, which you can see one of my other streams where it actually goes into the face-off steps. I believe it was the one where I did troublemakers. I talk about the face-off steps. I also did it during the score phase as well. So you can go back to those streams to actually get that information of the different priority windows during those phases. So I'm not going to go into the priority windows here because they're located on another stream and I don't want to double dip into information. So in this scenario, you're like, yeah, I confront, I cause a face-off, phenomenal. We flip a card and it's tied, woo. We flip another card, oh look, I win. When I win that, I'm going to score the 1 bonus off of my problem, or whatever the bonus is of that problem. The problem will replace and everything will go home. Now, this is standard score phase procedure. Once again, I showed it on my score phase. So, I'm just trying to go over this information again because it's relevant to this stream. Now, that's how a single problem face-off works, is as long as only one problem is being confronted by you, and as long as that same problem is being confronted by your opponent. At the moment you confront it, if your opponent confronts it as well, they won't score a point, but because it's your turn, but as long as they're able to confront that problem and you confront that problem, you will cause a single problem face-off as long as no other problems are able to be confronted during that score phase. Okay, that's the long version of single problem face-offs. Excuse me. Next up, we got what's called a double problem face-off. Now, in this case, your opponent is starting it. So they have six, what looks like 1, 2, 3. So they got a whole bunch of power at your problem and 6 power at their problem. So they're obviously confronting both problems, but in this case, it's your opponent's turn. They confront your problem and their problem. This causes a face-off, what's called a multi-problem face-off. Multi-problem face-offs, unlike single-problem face-offs, does not require your opponent to be confronting on their end. So if your opponent isn't confronting and you cause a multi-problem face-off and it's your turn when you double confront, as long as you confront 2 or more problems, you will cause what's called a multi-problem face-off. And what this does is that it allows you to basically have the advantage. So you have your face-off, and you're most of the time in multi-problem face-off, you have a higher chance of winning that. So obviously, you flip your cards, and yeah, so you'll win the face-off, you'll flip your cards. If by some miracle your opponent manages to win that, which is really rare, that's going to stink. But anyways, and what that does is that multi-problem face-offs replace both problems, and then the highest bonus out of those problems, the problem with the highest bonus will be the bonus that will be given to the winner of the problem face-off. So if it's a 3 bonus problem, if there's a 3 bonus problem and a 0 bonus problem, and someone DFOs and they win the face-off, they will get the 3 bonus. And this is because instead of the game, so one of the things that used to exist in the game was this rule where the first player to confront would score the bonus. This is no longer in effect. It's been out of effect since, I think, Equestrian Odysseys, from what I've heard. So in this case, whoever wins the face-off scores the bonus, and it's always the highest bonus amongst all problems. And then problems will replace, troublemakers will go to the discard, they will be dismissed, or retired, actually. I think they're retired. They might be dismissed. I just don't remember which it is. And then, of course, new problems will come up. So, starting a multi-problem face-off not only gives you multiple points, but also makes it easier for you to win said face-off. Now, let's go ahead and pause for a moment about the explanations of multi-problem face-offs and single-problem face-offs. Now that those are explained, let's go ahead and jump into talking a little bit about different play styles and how those affect what you're doing during problem face-offs. Most of the time, aggro is going to want to cause problem face-offs. These are aggro decks, usually are the decks that would prefer to start problem face-offs. A lot of control decks these days don't want to start problem face-offs unless they absolutely have to. Farming definitely doesn't want problem face-offs to happen, and combo doesn't want them to happen. So really, problem face-offs have started to become more relevant with aggro. Okay. I just wanted to get that out there, that problem face-offs are generally used by aggro players. I don't have anything against that. I love aggro. I play every type of deck style because I enjoy every deck style. Alright. let's talk about, well, first things first. Your Twilight Sparkle freaking out. You are always having trouble deciding when to start a face-off and everything. Once again, grab a book. It's good for you. Relax. I will try to explain the best I can with these scenarios. Let's start with this one, because this one might be a little bit more complicated. Okay, it's your turn. You got a fire friendship as white, and the other fire friendship is pink. You got Scootaloo with Staff of Sacanis, and you have a Cadence out. Your opponent has a Tempest at home and a Dr. Hooves at home. You just played Wonderbolt's Washouts, which is how you got Cadence into play. You already had a Red Delicious in play. Alright. So, in this scenario, think you have essentially 2 AT to work with. You just ended the main phase. You have 2 AT banked during the score phase. What do you do in this scenario? Your opponent is really struggling. They can't seem to get their entry, and for some reason they're not doing very well. They're obviously playing terrible. Maybe it's that they can't actually play anything at the moment. Maybe Dr. Hooves was the only thing they were able to play, and they haven't been able to get into any other entry, and their entire hand is a different color. So they can't play anything. In this scenario, what is the move that is obvious? Okay, in this scenario, you got Washouts. It's 6 to confront on your end. You have your current problem that you're currently trying to confront is the new problem. I'm trying to remember the exact name of it. Surprise Takeoff, which means all your characters have Agile. You have 2 AT. All your characters have Agile. In this scenario, there's one of 2 things you could potentially do. So, you know that you're already DFOing. Do you just go straight for the DFO? Or do you go for the triple confront to get an additional point so you can also get the 2 bonus? Now, if you go for the triple confront, you're looking at 5 points this turn. You're looking at scoring 5 points. That's a lot to score. Which normally that's what I would do in an aggro deck. But let's say for something that you just wasted all your AT on getting Cadence out this turn, so you have no AT left. In this case, the DFO is fine. Just know that you pretty much wasted Wonderbolt's Washouts resource. So I can't remember the exact name on it. Washouts performance. But in this case, we're saying that you have 2 AT left. Fine. So what you do is you say, okay, what's the easiest way to do it? Well, you could attempt to confront with your main on Washout's performance. Or what you could do is, so what you do is you select maybe lacking lesson plans to confront first. So you confronted lacking lesson plans, and you spend 2 AT to move Red Delicious over to the Washout's performance, confront there, and then you swing it over to, well, now that you're out of AT, what you do is you use then you confront your problem. Um, surprise takeoff. What this does is it causes what's called a multi-problem face-off because you're confronting two or more problems. This is an opportunity to score 5 points. Take it. It's a good opportunity. This is the one instance where you're able to do it. You should do it. Especially if you have 2 AT left over from playing everything this turn. Do what you want to do. Now, I didn't put it in here, but if your opponent has something like to disrupt you and they have AT banked, yeah, that can get real annoying. But I'll get into something a little bit more like that a little later. Okay, this is an instance where it's order of sequencing, where you confront one problem, then you choose to move something to confront another, then you choose to confront the other problem. This is great. This is a good scenario for you because you're able to confront 3 problems and win the face-off easy. Let's go ahead and jump back to this one. Double problem face-off. This slide. So in this case, let's say you're the Scootaloo player, not the Thorax player. Do you really want this to go through? Keep in mind that your home limit is 4. You have a home limit of 4. You have 5 friends in play. So Scootaloo will move 2 of them at the end of the turn. But let's just, for the sake of this, do you go into a problem face-off knowing that everything's going to go home when you do this? My suggestion is, in this scenario, definitely go for it, but just know that you're only going to get 3 points if you win the face-off. In this case, you're getting more than 3. You're getting 5 points again. But just know that this is another scenario where you really should just go ahead and just do the double face-off and score your points. And then use Scootaloo trigger. Once again, another simple scenario where you're just like, okay, in this case, I have the advantage. Fine. Let's go for it. Okay. This scenario, single problem face-off, I showed you guys a slide. Both players are equal. It's your turn, you're playing Thorax. Do you go for this face-off? It's your turn. You know you're at a disadvantage because your opponent has 2 friends in play. Actually, let's look at it this way. They played Berry Punch and Orange Swirl, probably by playing Singing Barrel, and they took your Changeling Citizens to, or maybe that's not even the Changeling Citizens. Maybe they took that to retire something. That's probably a better scenario in this case, because that's more or less what's going to happen with Berry Punch and Orange Swirl. So there you both are confronting this problem. In this case, confronting with Thorax to cause a single problem face-off is actually a good idea, but at the same time, it's not ideal because you're both equal in power and it's going to come down to flips. In this case, you're not causing a single problem face-off to win the face-off. In this case, you're doing a single problem face-off to get their friends away from that problem. And that's what you're going to utilize this situation for. So you're not looking to win it. You're looking just to get your opponent away from there. And doing that makes it harder on your opponent to deal with whatever you do next turn. Because they're going to have to worry about confronting that problem, and maybe the problem you flip will be a harder problem for them to confront. This is a typical scenario where you're playing more of a control game because you know that you need to slow down your opponent somehow. So that's stuff to think about. Is if I can slow down my opponent, that would be a better time to cause a single problem face-off. Single problem face-offs have their uses to help get things away from a problem to slow down your opponent, because nothing hurts more than to spend 2 AT to move things back up to a problem, especially for aggro decks. Alright, so these are scenarios where a problem face-off is guaranteed to happen, but they're happening for different reasons. Let's talk about something where it's kind of an optional scenario. Alright, let's say you're the Scootaloo player. I'm sorry I did not include a main on the purple-orange side. It's either going to be Smolder or Tempest or whatever. Alright. Your opponent has... So the purple player has 1 AT banked right now. The Scootaloo player right now is currently confronting the purple players lacking lesson plans. They have Flash Magnus in play, but they only have 1 AT. So for the Scootaloo player, the challenge becomes, do I spend that 1 AT at immediate speed to move Flash to the other lacking lesson plans and cause a DFO? But if he does that, he runs the risk of giving the opponent an action token, and that purple player will probably play a interdimensional portal because they have 1 AT banked. So if they play portal, they're going to portal fume and everything will become exhausted during the face-off. Meaning that in the face-off, the only person that has power is the person using fume. Meaning that right now, in this scenario, the Scootaloo player is guaranteed to be 0 to 4 in the face-off. In this scenario, if your opponent has 1 AT and they're playing purple. This is where you have to gamble. Does my opponent have an interdimensional portal? Do they not have an interdimensional portal? Is there a chance they'll play portal on fume if I start this face-off? So the question becomes, do you just risk it? Or do you just let it happen? Note that if your opponent does win this face-off, they're going to score 1 point versus you scoring 2 for confronting. So how do you make this call? Well, Drado would always just go for the DFO. Whether or not I win the face-off is up for debate. I'm not worried about winning the face-off, but it also depends on what the score is looking like. If the purple-orange player in this scenario is actually ahead by 2-3 points, it might actually be worth DFOing, A, to get their stuff away from the problems, and B, to score 2 points. They're not likely to portal fume until they're in the priority window of the face-off. Because they only have 1 AT and they can't portal then. So you know that walking into this one that Fume is going to exhaust everything. And when Fume exhausts, well, okay, so in this scenario, they don't have any other dragons, so they can only exhaust one character. I made a mistake there. Um, for all intents and purposes, I should have put more dragons on one side or something, which is what I should have done. But let's just be hypothetical here and say they have like 4 dragons, or they have 3 dragons at home. Maybe they have Caldera, maybe they have Charcoal, and then they have another Charcoal. So they have 3 other dragons, so they're going to exhaust everything. Like I said, I didn't have time to really put these slides too much together. I just wanted to get the gist of each scenario out so I could talk about each scenario. If they do have 3 dragons at home, Fume is going to exhaust every single character on your side of the field. If that ends up happening, you know, what's going to happen is you're going to start a problem face-off. They're going to give an action token in Portal Fume. All your stuff's now exhausted, and you have to somehow win 4-0. That's not likely to happen. So they'll probably end up taking the face-off. Now, another thing you can do in this is, with only one action token, is you could just go ahead and move Magnus up to Blacking Lesson Plans. Just to get 4 power there on its own. But in this case, starting a face-off would actually not be that bad of an idea. You just have to know, you just have to be ready to lose that face-off. So in this scenario, what you're looking to do is score 2 points, but give up a point. 2 points and giving up a point is not a bad trade. And a lot of the times, players aren't willing to give up a bonus point. Sometimes you just have to say, I need the DFO, I need to confront, I need to get a point, I need to score. Because you're not going to get anywhere if you don't score. And giving up a point to get your points in a problem face-off where you're actually getting more points than the opponent is not a bad call. Because making sure that you're gaining more than your opponent is what you want to look for. So this is a lot of numbers crunching. It's like, okay, there's 3 points on board. In this case, getting the DFO would be better than giving up. Would be better in a scenario where I give up a point, I get 2 points. Now, I will suggest that this is a DFO that you might not want to do in this scenario if the score is something like your opponent's at 14 and you're at 12. In this case, I would shoot for a point because currently they're not able to confront both problems. So you as the player with Scootaloo knows that you can confront their problem, but they're not able to confront theirs at the moment. And they're at 13, 14, or maybe they're at 13 and you're at 12. It might just be better to confront one problem and see what happens. But if you only got 1 AT left, then you might as well DFO just know that that will force everything home, so it'll be gambling whether or not the next problem that flips is going to benefit you, is going to make it hard for them. So if like they flip a problem that has too much orange rack, or is too much rack for them to confront, then that's a good thing. But excuse me, folks. It's a decision that you have to make and make a call on. It can be a real challenge in a lot of scenarios where you're forced to choose what kind of problem face-off you want to go into. Whether it's strictly that you're guaranteed to win and score a bunch of points, whether it's to confront 3 problems to go into a problem face-off, or whether it's to cause a single problem face-off to move their stuff away, to get their stuff away from that problem, or using that single problem face-off to simply start a face-off to put something on top of their deck during the face-off just to get rid of that thing that they had at the face-off, which is something I've done. I used a problem face-off at a 0 bonus problem. I used the 0 bonus problem to cause a face-off to put, before flips, my opponent's friend on top of their deck, and then they have to flip that friend that I just put on top of the deck, and now all of a sudden they lost their friend. I score a point. It didn't matter whether I won the face-off or not because it was a 0 bonus. So you can use face-offs, problem face-offs, to also play more of a control game. Utilize it for your immediates or bounce effects or field disruption. You can also use problem face-offs for scoring points. You can use them to you can use them, as a way to catch up on points. So there's a lot you can do with problem face-offs. It's just sometimes knowing when to cause a face-off and when not to can mean the difference between survival in MLP for the game than anything else. Because there's going to come a point where you just got to confront. You can't afford to just sit there all day and say, I'm not going to confront, and you're not going to get anywhere. You have to be able to cause problem face-offs at some point. Or at least confront and score your points. Because if you're not scoring, you're never going to win. But choosing the best problem face-off for the best scenario is just a matter of calculating. And sometimes you don't want to cause a problem face-off, or you don't want to cause a DFO, because if you cause a DFO, all your stuff will go home, and you just want a single confront. Just be careful where you place your friends when you play them. So, for example, in this scenario, if Flash Magnus was up at lacking lesson plans, and you're confronting both problems, and let's say you don't want to confront both problems, then you could swing Flash Magnus over to the other problem and just single confront. Because sometimes single confronting is better than multi-confronting. So one of the rules I follow for DFOs is I look at my score. If I'm at 4 points, I might intentionally only confront one problem to go to 5. So that way my opponent only gets 3 AT. And then on my next turn I gain 3 AT. And since I'm going to go to 6 and they're going to get 4 AT anyways, I might DFO just to go to 7 because I know that they're going to get 4 AT. It's the same when you reach the 11 mark. It's the same when you're about to hit the 2 mark as well. sometimes it's just better to do a DFO because you know you're going to get 2 to 3 points out of it. And the next time that you score anyways 1 point will mean that your opponent gets the new edition of 18. So that's another thing you can do too, is timing your face-offs is just as important as what you're going to try to do with the face-off. Alright, I've been going over the problem face-offs here. I don't think I have too much more to cover on this stream. If I missed anything, feel free to put it in any comments. Let's go ahead and jump to the news of the stream. This is going to take some time. Okay, first off, today was my group's core tournament with the new set. We streamed the content. When that stuff gets uploaded by the store, I will be providing a link to it in my YouTube channel. So if you want to see Friends Forever core tournament games, I will have those up on my YouTube at some point when I find out what the link is. It'll be in like one of my playlists or whatever. So make sure you check that out to watch these games from our group. There's no audio, so you can only just watch them. What I might do is that after some time, I might do a review, like a commenting video on it where I'll be streaming this game. However, right now, for the next 2 weeks, this is the big news. Next weekend and the weekend after, I am taking literally a break from streams. I've been really down lately and really unfortunately unencouraged at the moment, so I'm gonna take a hiatus. These streams have been kind of tough on me a little bit, so I kind of want to take a 2-week break from streams. I apologize to everyone. I unfortunately need time for myself right now, and I will be doing some YouTube stuff, but my Twitch channel is going to go silent for 2 weeks. I just need these Sundays to kind of take care of myself a little bit, get myself reinvested, and also this will prevent me from running out of content. So what we'll do is we're going to have, next weekend I will not be streaming. The weekend after, I will be dedicated to a Let's Play on a video game. So I will have content coming out, but it just won't be pony related. After that weekend, we'll follow up that with a commentary of the stream from today. I'm hoping to get a special guest to join me for that. We'll just have to see the timing. If the timing doesn't work right for it, I might just do it next weekend, depending on what's going on 3 weeks from now. Just know that if you see a stream post on Sunday, I will be streaming. It's just going to depend on several things, but I would like to take time for myself. I'm kind of been doing a lot of ponies lately, and I've been playing a lot of the MLPCCG, and I just need a break right now. When you guys see that stream, you'll understand why I need a break, but until then, I am not going to be streaming for the next 2 weekends. Don't count on my streams during that time. I kind of just need time to get my own stuff kind of figured out, and I'd like to do other things with my channel right now. with that out of the way and with the stream finally done, I'm sorry I'm going to be disappearing for 2 weeks. If you don't like it, I flip the table. I don't do these. I like doing them, but I really just do them for fun. They're not a priority for me, but I do like getting you guys' content, getting it out there, because it's important. So I don't want you guys to be like, where'd Drada go? And it's like, oh, we have no idea. We haven't heard from him in forever. And I'm going to be like, I told you guys on stream that I am taking a 2-week hiatus. This is actually a great time for me to take a hiatus because a lot of other people are taking their hiatuses right now. So it's actually good for me to take my hiatus to match my scheduling with other YouTubers. So there is another purpose involved besides me just taking a break. It's also to time all my streams with other stuff. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. If you're looking to contact me, you can contact me via Drada Arcana Gaming on Facebook. You can contact me at drada.arcana@gmail.com. If you're looking for any of my other content or any of the previous uploads, including this video, you can go to Drada Arcana on YouTube, or you can look on this very Twitch channel. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Give your love to Princess Luna. She helps you sleep at night. Even Twilight didn't vote for Celestia for Best Princess. Ha, ha, ha. Anyways, give your love to whichever pony you want. I'm going to get out of here, guys. Have a good night. I'll see you guys in about 3 weeks. Looking forward to that stream. I'll see you guys later. Bye.